أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي واشدد به أزري واشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. O Lord, provide us with guidance and consciousness of what is right, given our individual conditions. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma ahdina fi man hadayt, wa afina fi man afayt, wa tawallana fi man tawallayt, wa barik lana fi ma atayt, wa qina wasrif anna sharra ma qadayt, fa inna taqdi wa la yuqda alayk, إنه لا يذل من وليت ولا يعز من عزيت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت لك الشكر على ما أتيت نستغفرك اللهم من جميع الذنوب والخطايا ونتوب إليك. O Lord, guide us among those you guide. Grant us health and pardon among those you grant health and pardon. Look after us among those you look after. Grant us grace in what you have given us, and protect us from the evil of what you have ordained. For you decree and none decrees against you, and none is abased whom you befriend. And none is exalted whom you are at enmity with. O our Lord, who is above all things sacred and exalted, all praise is yours for what you decree. We ask your forgiveness and turn to you in repentance. Ameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ala alihi ashabi ajma'in. Walhamdu lillahi rabbil alameen. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Inshallah, everyone is doing well and having a nice Saturday afternoon. Inshallah. Okay. So today we will proceed with the 10th word on resurrection. And we are going to start with the third truth, which is the gate of wisdom and justice, the manifestation of the names of wise and just. So those of you who joined us in, we are reading from the words, page 77. Third truth, the gate of wisdom and justice, the manifestation of the names of wise and just. Bismillah. Is it at all possible that the Lord of glory, who demonstrates his dominical sovereignty in the wisdom and order, the justice and equilibrium that pervade all things, from the atom to the sun, should not bestow favor on those believers who seek refuge beneath the protective wing of his dominicality, who believe in his wisdom and justice, and whose acts are for the purpose of worshiping him. There is a footnote here. The sentence, is it at all possible, is indeed repeated many times because it expresses a most significant mystery. Misguidance and lack of belief generally spring from the habit of imagining things to be impossible, far removed from the realm of reason, and therefore denying them. misguidance and lack of belief generally spring from the habit of imagining things to be impossible, far removed from the realm of reason, and therefore denying them. Now, in this discussion of resurrection, it has been decisively demonstrated that true impossibility, absurdity, and irrationality pertain to the path of misbelief and the road of misguidance, whereas true possibility, facility, and rationality are characteristics of the path of faith and highway of Islam. In short, the philosophers tend to unbelief on account of their regarding things as impossible. Whereas the 10th word, discussion of resurrection, by means of the repeated sentence, is it at all possible, shows where impossibility lies and thus deals them a blow in the mouth. So is it at all possible that the Lord of glory, who demonstrates his dominical sovereignty in the wisdom and order, the justice and equilibrium that pervade all things from the atom to the sun, should not bestow favor on those believers who seek refuge beneath the protective wing of his dominicality, who believe in his wisdom and justice, and whose acts are for the purpose of worshiping him. Again, is it possible that he should not chastise those rude and discourteous men who disbelieve in his wisdom and justice and rebel against him in insolence? Now, not even 1,000th part of that wisdom and justice is exercised with respect to men. In this transient world, it is rather deferred. Most of the people of misguidance leave this world unpunished, and most of the people of guidance leave it unrewarded. All things are then postponed for a supreme tribunal and ultimate bliss. Yes, it is apparent that the being who controls this world does so in accordance with an infinite wisdom. Do you require a proof? It is the preservation of interest and benefit in all things. Do you not see that numerous wise benefits are intended in all the limbs, bones, and veins of man, even in the cells of his brain and in every particle of his body? Do you not see that numerous wise benefits are intended in all the limbs, bones, and veins of man, even in the cells of his brain and in every particle of his body? Do you not see that from certain limbs, wise benefits are to be had as numerous as the fruits of a tree? Do you not see that from certain limbs, wise benefits are to be had as numerous as the fruits of a tree? All of this shows that matter are done in accordance with infinite wisdom. The existence of the utmost regularity in the making of all things is a proof of the same truth. The compression of the exact program of development of a beautiful flower into a minute seed, the inscription on a small seed by the pen of destiny of the scroll of deeds of a tree, its life history, and list of equipment show that a pen of utmost wisdom is at work. The compression of the exact program of development of a beautiful flower into a minute seed, the inscription on a small seed by the pen of destiny of the scroll of deeds of a tree, its life history, and list of equipment show that a pen of utmost wisdom is at work. The existence of a high degree of fine artistry in all things, the existence of a high degree of fine artistry in all things proves that there exists also the impress of an infinitely wise maker. Further, the inclusion within the minute body of a man of an index of all being, of the keys to all the treasuries of mercy, and of the mirrors of all the divine names demonstrates the existence of wisdom within that infinitely fine artistry. Now, is it at all possible that the wisdom that thus permeates the workings of dominicality should not wish eternally to favor those who seek refuge beneath the wing of dominicality and who offer obedience in faith? Now, is it at all possible that the wisdom that thus permeates the workings of dominicality should not wish eternally to favor those who seek refuge beneath the wing of dominicality and who offer obedience in faith? Do you wish for a proof that all things are done with justice and balance? The fact that all things are endowed with being, given shape, and put in their appropriate place in accordance with precise equilibrium and in appropriate measure shows that all matters are done in accordance with infinite justice and balance. Similarly, the fact that all things are given their rights in accordance with their disposition, that they receive all the necessities of their being and all the requirements of life in the most fitting form, this too is the sign left by a hand of infinite justice. Again, the fact that answer is always given to every petition and request made by the tongue of disposition and of natural need or necessity demonstrates the existence of infinite justice and wisdom. Now, is it at all possible that the justice and wisdom that hasten to relieve the pettiest need of the smallest of creation should fail to provide immortality, the greatest need of man, the greatest of creatures? That it should fail to respond to his greatest plea and cry for assistance? Or that it should not preserve the dignity of God's dominicality by preserving the rights of his servants? Man, whose life is so brief, cannot experience the true essence of justice in this transient world. Man whose life is so brief cannot experience the true essence of justice in this transient world. It is for this reason that matters are postponed for a supreme tribunal. For true justice requires that man, this apparently petty creature, should be rewarded and punished, not in accordance with his pettiness, but in accordance with the magnitude of his crime. The importance of his nature and the greatness of his function. Since this passing and transient world is far from manifesting such wisdom and justice for man, who is created for eternity, of necessity, there will be an eternal hell and everlasting paradise of that just and awesome possessor of beauty, that wise and beauteous possessor of awe. And this is the third truth on the gate of wisdom and justice, the manifestation of the names of wise and just. I just want to see if anyone wants to share out any immediate takeaways that they extracted from this piece. Feel free to raise your hand. Or if you have any questions about anything, we can also, inshallah, look into it. So while everybody's thinking, I feel the last paragraph is very, very, very important. It's really letting us know exactly what we are experiencing here. Definitely, our life is very brief here. It's unbelievable. It's are not in control of any of the events that occur, and while experiencing this transience, the one who's setting the stage for us is definitely must be doing so out of justice. This need for not enjoying transience, this need that we as human beings have for immortality or an eternal life, definitely cannot be exercised here. I mean, this is very obvious, but the need is there. And so all these expectations and need point to another type of existence or realm where whatever I acknowledge and conclude from experiencing these human feelings of wanting immortality, definitely there must be a realm of justice and beauty that all of this should be exercised and executed, inshallah. So I think this last paragraph pretty much touched the crux of the matter, but let me see if anybody wants to share anything here. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand.
Assalamu
Walaikum assalam, Inaba. Go ahead, please.
One thing that you said early on, you said, like, you know, this life is, you were feeling it in your heart. You were feeling that, like, this life is unbelievable. And then what occurred to me is, yes, that's exactly the feeling, because it's when this life, okay, it is unbelievable. And then when it becomes believable, in other words, when we start to see how amazing this existence is right now, all being sustained at the same time, then it becomes unbelievable that this all comes to naught, that it all just disappears, and then, you know, it meant nothing at all. So then the afterlife becomes very believable. In other words, when this moment becomes believable in real consciousness of, like, the uncountable, infinite miracles that are all happening right now, all at the same time, once we could even believe that, then how is the afterlife not believable? Like, it has to be believable. In fact, the absence of it becomes unbelievable. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Naba, for sharing your comment. Definitely, we need to exercise our acknowledgements and really try to stay alert with the reality of what we experience here, so we can be on the way to living a life of satisfaction, that whatever that we experience here, the transience, and not even controlling any, just even one breath, it's unbelievable. It's like you said, the word you used. So all this point to something that I think we cannot fathom in our existence here. Any other comments from anyone? At any point, please feel free to raise your hand. There's a raise hand icon. So that's helpful to see, who wants to make a comment or express out themselves. If not, then I think we can move on to the fourth truth, inshallah. These are truths, and the way they are worded are, I think we can all experience it in our experiences, inshallah. So if there are no more comments, I'll move on to the fourth truth. Fourth truth: the gate of generosity and beauty, the manifestation of the names of generous and beautiful. Is it at all possible that infinite generosity and liberality, inexhaustible riches, unending treasures, peerless and eternal beauty, flawless and everlasting perfection, should not require the existence of grateful supplicants, should not require the existence of grateful supplicants, yearning spectators, and astounded onlookers, all destined to stay an eternity in an abode of bliss, a place of repose. Yes, adorning the face of the world with all these objects of beauty, creating the moon and the sun as its lamps, filling the surface of the earth with the finest varieties of sustenance, and thus making it a banquet of bounty, making fruit trees into so many dishes, and renewing them several times each season. All this shows the existence of infinite generosity and liberality. All this shows the existence of infinite generosity and liberality. Such ending liberality and generosity, such inexhaustible treasures of mercy, require the existence of an abode of repose. Require the existence of an abode of repose, a place of bliss that shall be everlasting and contain all desirable objects within it. They all require that those who enjoy such bliss should remain in that abode of repose eternally. They also require that those who enjoy such bliss should remain in that abode of repose eternally, without suffering the pain of cessation and separation. For just as the cessation of pain is a form of pleasure, Just as the cessation of pain is a form of pleasure, so too the cessation of pleasure is a form of pain. One that such infinite generosity is unwilling to countenance. It requires then the existence both of an eternal paradise and of supplicants to abide in it eternally. Infinite generosity and liberality desire to bestow infinite bounty and infinite kindness. The bestowal of infinite bounty and infinite kindness require in turn infinite gratitude. This necessitates the perpetual existence of those who receive all the kindness so that they can demonstrate their thanks and gratitude for that perpetual bestowal and constant bounty. A petty enjoyment made bitter by cessation and lasting for only a brief time is not compatible with the requirements of generosity and liberality. A petty enjoyment made bitter by cessation and lasting for only a brief time is not compatible with the requirements of generosity and liberality. Look too at the different regions of the world, each like an exhibition where God's crafts are displayed. Pay attention to the dominical proclamations in the hands of all the plants and animals on the face of the earth. There's a footnote. The existence of a brightly designed and brilliantly adorned flower, a most artfully conceived and bejeweled fruit on a twig as thin as a wire, affixed to a dry bone-like tree. This is without doubt a proclamation to all animate beings of the fine arts produced by a most skilled, wise, and miraculous maker. The existence of a brightly designed and brilliantly adorned flower, a most artfully conceived and bejeweled fruit on a twig as thin as wire, affixed to a dry bone-like tree. This is without doubt a proclamation to all animate beings of the fine arts produced by a most skilled, wise, and miraculous maker. This holds true not only of the vegetable kingdom, but also of the animal realm. Pay attention to the dominical proclamations in the hands of all the plants and animals on the face of the earth, and listen to the prophets and the saints, the heralds of the beauties of dominicality. The heralds of the beauties of dominicality. They unanimously display the flawless perfections of the glorious Maker by demonstrating his miraculous art, and thus invite the gazes of men. The Maker of this world has then, most important, astounding and secret perfections. The Maker of this world has then most important, astounding, and secret perfections. It is these he wishes to display by means of his miraculous arts. For secret, flawless perfection wishes to be manifested to those who will appreciate, admire, and wonderingly gaze at it. Internal perfection requires internal manifestation. Eternal perfection requires eternal manifestation. Such eternal manifestation, in turn, requires the perpetual existence of those who are to appreciate and admire it. Such eternal manifestation, in turn, requires the perpetual existence of those who are to appreciate and admire it. The value of perfection will always sink in the view of its admirer if he is devoid of perpetual existence. There's a footnote. There is a proverbial occurrence pertaining to this point. A celebrated beauty once expelled from her presence a common man who had become infatuated with her. In order to console himself, he said, "How ugly she is," thus denying her beauty. Once a bear stood beneath a vine trellis and wished to eat the grapes, but he was unable to reach out for the grapes or to climb up the trellis. So he said to himself by way of consolation, "The grapes must be sour," and growling went on his way. It's our human reality. Again, the beauteous, artistic, brilliant, and adorned creatures that cover the face of the globe bear witness to the fairness of a peerless, transcendent beauty and indicate the subtle charms of an unparalleled, hidden pulchritude, just as sunlight bears witness to the sun. Again, the beauteous, artistic, brilliant, and adorned creatures that cover the face of the globe bear witness to the fairness of a peerless, transcendent beauty and indicate the subtle charms of an unparalleled hidden pulchritude, just as sunlight bears witness to the sun. Footnote. Although all beings that act as mirrors for God's beauty constantly vanish and disappear, those that succeed them display and manifest in their forms and features the same beauty and fairness. Although all beings that act as mirrors for God's beauty constantly vanish and disappear, those that succeed them display and manifest in their forms and features the same beauty and fairness. This shows that the beauty in question does not belong to them. The visible instances of beauty are rather the signs and indications of a transcendent and sacred beauty. Each manifestation of that sacred transcendent beauty indicates the existence of countless hidden treasures in each of God's names. Now, so exalted, peerless, and hidden a beauty, just as it desires to view its own fairness in a mirror and to behold the degrees and measures of its beauty in an animate reflection, desires also to become manifest in order to look on its own beauty through the eyes of others. That is, it wishes to look at its own beauty in two ways. Firstly, by beholding itself in mirrors of variegated color. Secondly, through the gaze of yearning witnesses to itself of bewildered admirers of its beauty. It wishes to look at its own beauty in two ways. Firstly, by beholding itself in mirrors of variegated colors. Secondly, through the gaze of yearning witnesses to itself of bewildered admirers of its beauty. In short, beauty and fairness desire to see and be seen. Both of these require the existence of yearning witnesses and bewildered admirers. And since beauty and fairness are eternal and everlasting, their witness and admirers must have perpetual life. An eternal beauty can never be satisfied with transient admirers. An admirer condemned to irreversible separation will find his love turning to enmity once he conceives of separation. His admiration will yield to ridicule, his respect to contempt. For just as obstinate man is an enemy to what is unknown to him, so too he is opposed to all that lies beyond his reach, and love that is not infinite will respond to a beauty that deserves unending admiration with implicit enmity, hatred, and rejection. For just as obstinate man is an enemy to what is unknown to him, so too he is opposed to all that lies beyond his reach, and love that is not infinite will respond to a beauty that deserves unending admiration with implicit enmity, hatred, and rejection. From this, we understand the profound reason for the unbeliever's enmity to God. So endless generosity and liberality, peerless fairness and beauty, flawless perfection, all these require the existence of eternally grateful and longing supplicants and admirer. But we see in this hospice of the world that everyone quickly leaves and vanishes, having had only a taste of that generosity, enough to whet his appetite, but not to satiate him, and having seen only a dim light coming from the perfection, or rather a faint shadow of its light, without in any way being fully satisfied. It follows then that men are going toward a place of eternal joy, where all will be bestowed on them in full measure. In short, just as this world with all its creatures decisively demonstrates the existence of the glorious Maker, so too do his sacred attributes and names indicate, show, and logically require the existence of the hereafter. And that concludes our fourth truth. Let me just see if anybody wants to make any comments on the fourth truth, or if you have some immediate takeaways or any questions, feel free to raise your hand. You have a comment?
The footnote is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Footnote 12.
Okay.
Basically, the mirror analogy.
Mhm.
All beings that act as mirrors.
Which one? Which footnote is it?
Number 12.
Number 12, it starts with
How he talks about in the beginning of page 80,
page 89.
where he talks about the beauty, and
Mm-hmm.
you can take that for any quality that is experienced in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So normally we say, okay, look, when we look at a flower, we are mesmerized with the beauty of the flower. We think it belongs to that, but we need to realize where that beauty is coming from. So it's see the mirror in the flower. That is not the beauty is not coming from the flower, because just right now it's spring, summer, and then we'll see that the flower is gonna disintegrate. It's gonna break down. It's gonna go away. So what happened? The beauty is gone, or or is it transient? So that is why this, I think the analogy or this particular footnote was pretty solid in terms of explaining that all beings are actually mirrors. This is how we have to see that. They are reflecting something that is not basically belong to the mirror or to the thing itself. But every quality for beauty, for example, belongs to the one who is the owner of beauty. And you can take that with any other quality. You can see mercy, generosity. You can see your interactions with human beings. You can see your interaction while eating. You can see the taste coming. Is it coming from the food, or is the one who is the food just the mirror to the qualities of its maker? Yeah, because otherwise we'll just get lost in the thing itself. But that's where we have to pay attention to all these things.
Thank you, Austin, for bringing this very enlightening point, because that's how our interaction goes on in the universe. So theoretically speaking, the mirror analogy pretty much makes good sense. But in practicality, I think that's where we need to be aware and alert in terms of where these feelings or qualities that we experience, what is the source of existence of it? Where is it coming from? Otherwise, just taking that example of a flower, flower withers away, and then we're just left with pain and sorrow, just like the author did mention somewhere in later on in the paragraphs, and that obviously in turn creates like a enmity towards the objects of the universe, and so you're really missing the big picture of what all this points to. But you want to add something more?
Yeah, and the following paragraph is also pretty interesting on how beauty and fairness desire to see and be seen, because both of these require the existence of yearning witnesses and bewildered admirers. So if there is something is transient, then, like, let's say my existence is transient, then what's the point of all the qualities that I'm witnessing here? So in the middle, he says, an eternal beauty can never be satisfied with transient admirers. An admirer condemned to irreversible separation will find his love turning to enmity. That's just like you were saying at that point.
Yeah, this is interesting point in terms of like any quality. Obviously, it's there for us to benefit from, but we shouldn't just get lost in the quality itself. Then it's gonna be a loss human case. Rather, definitely utilize it, experience it, but make sure you're connecting the dots as far as what all these point to, or what one's existence ultimately points to. And I see that Inaba, you have your hand up. Go ahead, please.
Oops. I'm also thinking about how beauty, as this line, how let's see. In short, beauty and fairness desire to see and be seen, but they want eternity. This to me is personally hitting home in terms of why it's wrong to objectify beauty. And in any place that you find it, in a pet that you have, or with a human being, or in some blessing that's come to your life that's beautiful, to say that, to only give importance to this beauty at face or at a very superficial level. And to not realize that there's layers and layers behind it of meaning that speaks to our good and loving God who is sending it, and to not honor it and treat it lovingly, but the opposite, to treat it as if it's for your own, it's only for your own benefit, and then when you're done with it, you're done with it. That's the definition of to objectify something. And I see how clearly with beauty and all other virtues as well of the other names that we experience, how wrong it is to do just that. And this is part of material culture, it's part of popular culture, and it's the way that we treat ourselves as well. We don't realize the eternal nature of the gifts we've been given, and how they are so meaningful that they are telling us about our eternal reality, not just about something that we're going to experience now and then it's going to pass. So this was sort of an answer for me from an experience of just like looking in the mirror at myself and knowing that like I am aging, the youth that I experienced is going away, and the face that I once knew is changing, and asking, what extent of gratitude am I going to have even for the face that I saw in the mirror my whole life? And what connection am I going to have with it as I grow older and wither away? And when I die, do I think that just came to me for no reason, just to experience for 20 years of youth? Or do I expect to have a lasting connection to the meaning that I was able to bring into my heart from that sign that God gave me, from that creation that God let me experience?
Jazakallah khair. Beautiful comment, Inaba. I think it speaks to all of us as far as what we experience here with the transients. It's really, no one can deny that. It's very experiential. And I think it's like you're saying, it's just a matter of extracting the meaning from these experiences that can put my heart at solace, at least when I make that kind of connection. So I see Ali Murmur, your hand is up. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. It is a beautiful subject, actually. Brings new perspectives to our previous readings. Every truth adds one more layer to the beginning of to the previous layers, in order to make us feel that really resurrection is reality, although we haven't seen it. The last paragraph that we read today from the fourth truth beautifully puts it. Let's look at that one in short. Just as this world, with all its creatures, decisively demonstrates the existence of the glorious Maker. Now we have to first establish that the existence of a glorious Maker, it means an absolute creator, must really exist as a result of observation of the creation out there that we experience. So too, on the same logical sequence, do his sacred attributes and names indicate, on his qualities also indicate, show, and logically require, although that is very logically require, the existence of the hereafter. That is what argued in the fourth truth, and up to now actually, but heavily concentrated on the fourth truth. Logic requires that if the creator, if the source of existence of this universe is an absolute being, must be an absolute being, then his qualities also must be absolute. If his quality is absolute, and then necessarily the manifestations of his qualities must be eternal, that is hereafter. Next creation cannot be restricted to a transient existence like we are experiencing here in our own practical lives. That is a very interesting point. When we read the Quran, at least generally, and pay attention to how the Quran is presenting its argument to us. Quran also mentions about the hereafter, either with the name of the hell, eternal paradise, or they will be tortured endlessly, etc. They will be very sorry in the next creation. But the Quran always presents the evidence for the next creation by drawing the attentions of the reader. Don't they look at the rain coming down and giving life? I mean, not the rain is giving, but as a result of the rain, that land becomes alive, and lots of plants and therefore animals are spread all over the earth. Don't they see it? How the plants are coming out of dead things, including the DNA, which is also made up of dead elements, lifeless elements. That is the main challenge of the creation to human mind, that life is coming out from dead elements. It must be not the result of the dead elements, particles, atoms, whatever they are. Cannot be. That is the, if you look at them, we will resurrect you. It's a beautiful example, clearly stated, simply put to everyone to understand. It is, don't they see that we will resurrect them, take them out of their material body, another body, as the plant comes out of that soil, that water, that elements. The seed also is made up of dead elements. Don't they see that? Who is doing it? We will do the same thing again to your body. Why not? It means we can give life to dead things. So when you say, I am dead now, I died, and my father, the grandparents all died, they cannot be given life again. How dare you say this? This, everything is coming out of that thing. This argument is very fundamental to the Quran, and also the author follows the method of the Quran. We notice that from the very, very beginning, the author never said, we believe in the hereafter because Quran mentions it or gives the news about it to us. Although it does, that is absolutely correct, but for the logic to be convinced, it must be evidence out there. There must be evidence out there. So this method must be for us as well, for our mind, for our feelings, for our satisfactions of heart. And also, if we ever talk about hereafter or next life, resurrection, with anyone else, believers or non-believers, we should never refer to the revelation say that I am a wisdom, I believe in the hereafter. That never makes sense. That is methodologically very important. Another example I would like to give that why the unbelievers hate God and they have enmity. While I went thinking about it, although Asim touched upon it, a simple example came to my mind and I wanted to share with you. It is the end, go up to the third paragraph, enmity of God, not the third paragraph, no. From the end, third paragraph. In short, and the last sentence of the that paragraph. In short, no, a bit up, up. Yes, that's it. That paragraph, the last sentence. I can see your cursor. From this, we understand the profound reason for the unbelievers' enmity to God. Yeah. Now, only the last sentence, please, from this. Yeah, to pay attention to this. Now, this is a very simple example. A beautiful artist, very talented artist, prepared an exhibition for his art. Some people came and admired his art. And he said, why don't you put some more if you can? It's an example. Human beings are limited. They can practice only to a limited period of time, their talent. But the creator of the universe must have an absolute qualities that must be established beforehand. So he can demonstrate his beautiful art in the exhibition hall for those who admire it, who appreciate it, and show their happiness about these beautiful art pieces. But those people who don't appreciate it, what the artist does, the artist do not let them get in again in the exhibition hall because they are not appreciating the beauty. They just on the contrary, they are denying it. That is very interesting. Those people who are expelled from the exhibition hall, do you think they will appreciate the artist or they will hate the artist? That is why the unbelievers, it means unbelievers, deniers of God and therefore the hereafter, they are enmity of God because they feel that as soon as they die, they will be expelled, completely prohibited to get into the exhibition hall again. They will be excluded. That is the reason why unbelievers don't want you and me to believe in God and submit our will to Him and expect from Him that the eternal life will definitely exist. And this exhibition, this temporary exhibition, but also it is perfect but temporary. That's why it is not perfect. Will continue in the next creation with no trouble. We will enjoy it. They say, I didn't appreciate the beauty. Those people who deny, I am not going to enjoy it. And on the contrary, I will be deprived of it. That mentality doesn't let them to appreciate the believers, what they say, okay, they are trying, they will try to make the believers turn into a denier, turn into a disbeliever. That's what their aim is actually, in becoming an enemy of it. That is also interesting point. There were many interesting points here, but I think the time is up. No, I don't know. Page, the last thing I would like to share with you, page 79, one page behind, and the first paragraph, just come to the last two sentences. For just as the cessation of pain. Yeah, in that paragraph, for that, what about that? For S, okay, to the end of the paragraph. Yeah, that is very interesting. For just as the cessation of pain is a form of pleasure. I mean, the text is really plain. It is easy to understand, but we have to highlight some important points while we are discussing. Very shortly, if the pain stops and pleasure occurs, who is not happy when he recovers from his sickness? I am. So that is obvious. So too, that is important, the cessation of pleasure. I am, for example, for those people who are young, that they are okay, but when you remind them, or anything reminds them their parents die, or etc., or they will, if someone says that you are going to get old and you cannot move and you will not be able to move anymore, etc., what happens? And if they fall in, what happens? The pain starts. Because of losing the pleasure, the pain occurs. Now, exactly because of this reason, one, that such infinite generosity is unwilling to continue. It means if after experiencing my life here and becoming aware of the absolute qualities of the creator, necessarily the creator must have infinite qualities. And then as soon as the death comes to my mind, what happens? Pain starts. That is necessary for the creator to let me know that death is not the end of existence. Don't worry. I am an infinite being. I'm going to satisfy you with no ending existence. That is why this reality, logical reality, necessitates that the creator must send me the news that really he is going to create an eternal life. And with this news, right now, I will start feeling the pleasure, because my worries, my pain of thinking of death as the end of my existence disappears. And I start enjoying, after hearing this news from the prophetic mission or through the prophets, this pain disappears and my face starts smiling and I'm happy in my existence. Although there is death, I don't care. It means death is just a transience from one state of existence into another. So really, one important thing is, in this exhibition exhibition hall of the earth, the universe, right now, I have to appreciate the beauty and understand that it cannot happen by itself, because as Hassan pointed out, The things themselves are lifeless, the things themselves are transient, but the qualities manifested on them are not transient, not limited. Definitely, the one who gave existence to the universe must have an absolute power, must have an absolute limitless knowledge, etc. So, if I establish this, it is very easy to establish, by the way, then I can easily comfort myself. These eternal qualities, infinite qualities, definitely will continue manifesting with no end, because there is no reason that he wouldn't continue. It is an infinite power. This is a beautiful reasoning. I was really enjoying it as I was listening to the very slow reading of the moderator, Fariha. Thank you very much. Sorry for my long talk. Thank you. Have a great day. Wassalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Jazakallah khair for your comment, Brother Ali. Very helpful. And definitely we should be pondering more over our experiences of pain and pleasure, because only through reflecting on these will we find solace and satisfaction in our hearts, inshallah. I see, Inaba, your hand is up. Is it from before, or you want to make a comment? If so, then go ahead and we'll close up after that.
Oh, sure. Actually, that was a mistake. I didn't mean to leave it up, but there was something I would share. If anybody's saying, I will share with you. So I'm, as part of this whole discussion, I've also been thinking about how the love that God has for us is so different than the love we have for him, and how this also speaks to like the nature or the description that we have been given of the afterlife. For example, our love for him is very much like he gives to us, and he gives us blessings. He relieves our pain. He's always giving us something. We are most definitely, we confirm, absolutely needy in front of him. But he doesn't need us at all, yet he bestows love on us constantly. And so who would say that that relationship is at all equal? It's not. And who would say that the love that I'm giving back is at all comparable to the love that he first gave to me? And then the afterlife, we are told that, we won't have the same needs that we had here. It will be pure pleasure, as in like, we won't have the pain and then the release. It'll just be all ease. It gets me so, excited, and I'm, it's a great news, as they say, good news to the believers, that the love that we experience in this world could be, as only a drop, perhaps, to what is possible in the afterlife in terms of the bliss of love, because we could approach knowing, maybe learning much more what it means, what Allah's love, the meaning in it, in that he loves us without needing anything from us. So this is what Dr. Ali reminded me in the last thing that he said.
Thank you, Naba, for sharing your reflections. So briefly, I think the love is unconditional, what we experience. So just like the analogy of a parent and child relationship, no matter what, the parents will always love their offsprings. And, although in our events, it may not seem such, but that unconditional love is always there. So I think it's just a matter of being vigilant in paying closer attention to where these divine bounties are coming from, then I think we can all, inshallah, work out this love relationship between our creation and its creator, inshallah. All right. Thank you all for sticking around up until now. MashaAllah, thank you for being patient. Inshallah, next Saturday, the moderator will pick up from the 5th truth on page 81. And thanks again for coming in and contributing. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save except that which you've taught us. Indeed, you are all knowledgeable, all wise. Akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bi hurmati sirra surati